Hi everyone and welcome to Astar's Place. I've had a request from Patrice, one of my new followers in Russia, and she wanted to know whether you could use fresh and artificial and could I do something stunning with sunflowers. Well, I hope I've got you covered. This is what we're going to do. 5 sunflowers, either fresh or artificial ivy, a little bit of pieris and some twisted bamboo. Easy, easy, easy. Tall designing. I'll be back in a few moments with all the equipment and materials to show you how easy it is to put together. Okay, so this is what you need. I've selected this big yellow tin can, which I absolutely love, which is going to look fantastic with these beautiful sunflowers. I've also got a little bit of pieris and I've got this lovely twisted willow. I absolutely love working with this, especially when I'm doing something with like a structural flower like a sunflower. Now, to answer the call, yes, you can incorporate artificial with fresh. If somebody tells you that you can't, you just say to them that I am the artist and I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to put the artificial ivy with this. Now, this yellow, in my eyes, it needs to be diffused in some way. You could use fresh ivy or you could use artificial ivy. I'm going to use the artificial. So what I'm going to do is I put some foam down into there. I think I've put 2/3 of a container, block of foam into that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around the outside of the edge of my container and pushing those bits through. The thing about the artificial is once you've got this around this container and once your basic structure's in, you can take the sunflowers out and you can do all sorts of use other flowers. So just bring that around to there, and you'll also, when you're in here, look, you'll notice those little wee roundy bits. Get rid of those because we don't want those. Right, the other thing is this is going more to one side than the other. So what I'll do is I'll use a little bit of wire, and I'm using quite a sturdy 18 gauge wire. I want to bring that over to there, and I'm going to take it through there, and I'm going to push that down into there. Aha! Now what we have is a little bit of movement, and I really love when I'm using ivy because it's got a life all of its own. When you wrap it around, just let it do whatever it wants to do, because that's what it's going to do anyway. It climbs and binds to all sorts of things. The other thing is I like to have a little bit on my placement surface so that the design actually continues to go and flow further out from just that tin container. So now you can see that I've got lots and lots and lots of movement. I'm not liking that just like that. In fact, I think I need to just take that into there. So ivy is great if you want to get movement and flow into your design, because already what's happening is my eye hits that yellow tin, the ivy is diffusing with the green, and I've got this movement. Right, the next thing I want to put in here is a little bit of willow, which I'm just going to push down into there. Oh, hello, can you see that? Right, that can go into there. Now, I've done a really naughty thing, and this is what is going to make your work a little bit better than some other people out there. Where you have a blunt cut just like that, I absolutely just do not like seeing things like that, because what happens is I've got all this lovely flow, and then all of a sudden I've got this whack blunt cut. So what I do when things like that happen is use a little bit of nugget and then just put that over the top, like brown shoe nugget or tan or whatever, just to cover that up. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take a leaf from down this end here, and you could glue that onto there so that you don't see that, but hopefully by the time the sunflowers go in here we won't see that. Right, the next thing I want to do is, because I've got this lovely lot of lines happening up here, I've found that these were just some cut off bits of what have I got here? Whatever that stuff is. Oh, for goodness sake, willow. And I'm actually going to push that into there to actually give. Now look what's happening. I've got this really lovely sculptural form happening. Now here's another bit. So what I've done is I'll bring those together like that, and then just get a bit of wire, and then with really brute strength, just wrap that around there like so. And I just feel like putting that, oh, there's my leaf that fell off, get rid of that, put that into there. Now you could leave that that as it is, or you could put a little bit of Paris into there if you wanted to just bring through the colour. So I've talked about this before, but you know, if you ever get stuck, these are the things that you need to remember. You know, just use your eyes and look at that colouring there, and then look at that, and then when you turn it over, you've got this lovely limey green, which is part of that yellow family. That's especially with a primary colour like this. Now there's a bit that's broken off there, so cut that off, and I think at this stage I might just put that into there to give another bit of texture, because it's about the textures when you're doing designing. Bit into there, and then I might just, because I've got 3 bits, I might just put that into there. So I've got this straight yellow happening here that's got a sheen, and then it's coming up and it's hitting this lovely limey green. So you've got all these visuals happening that are actually starting to build a beautiful picture. Right, with the sunflowers, I'm going to take those out of there because I just know that they will fall. I have to apologise for the condition of my sunflowers, but these aren't out at the moment, so for me to get things like this is really difficult, but you know, I'm here to help. Now, I don't know what God was thinking when he designed these leaves, because those leaves do not last, and they are so fragile that they just sort of like disintegrate before your eyes, so take those off. Now, when it comes to designing tall flowers, they grow tall, so place them into a tall design. Now, pushing that right down there, and where that little leaf is there, just push that amongst that like so. And this is also going to be an exercise in graduation. So we're starting from the top and we're moving down. The other thing I wanted to tell you was, when you're working for knowing how to place this type of flower, if it grows tall, place it into a tall container or keep them short. To know what your proportions are, it's 1.5 times the height or the width of the container, whichever is the greater. It is taller than wider, so just place things to go in. Also, when you're cutting your stems, make sure you cut them on the slant. That means that it's easier for the stem to go into the foam, and also it makes it easier if you put those into a glass vase for the plant to be, or the flower to be sucking up the moisture. Right, that can go over to that side like that. And see, I've just got I've got a bit of distance between those two flowers to just show them off, because this is the only types of flowers I'm using, just the sunflowers. Right, that can go down into there. And the other thing I like to do is to not have them all facing you, but have them sort of like facing in different directions, especially when you're just using one lot of flower like this, so that it can be viewed from all angles. And the great thing is, if you want to get kids into flowers, these are great things to be working with, because they will actually follow the sun. They're so clever, sunflowers. Right, that can go down into there. See how I've got sort of almost equal distance between each of my placement. That's that graduation from the top down to the base. And I've got one more left, getting rid of those leaves, and I think I'm just going to put that down into this. Oh, careful, careful, careful. So that now we have a design that can be viewed from all around. And that reminds me of somewhere in France. I would love to be at that warm place today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Good few tips in there. If you've got any requests or any information I can help you with, don't forget to go to my Facebook or to follow me on my website. See you another day. I hope I've been of help.